Here we are a year later, approaching Thanksgiving, and do we really know more about Tiger Woods than we did a year ago? We know a lot more than we probably wanted to know. It was the day after Thanksgiving, actually, when we first got a report from the Florida Highway Patrol that Tiger was in an accident. The injuries were reported as serious. No one was really sure what to make, and within weeks, everything imploded. I mean, if you think about it, this guy was the most universally praised athlete in the world, and weeks later, he was universally ridiculed. Tiger's been very guarded about the one details that he can still protect. What exactly happened that put him in the Escalade that night, that had him run over the fire hydrant into a tree just yards away from his driveway. What he went to the hospital for, he did clear that up at the Masters and said it was a neck injury. And the bigger question I think everyone wanted to know going forward was what was going to happen out of this. Frankly, a year later, we really don't know. On the golf course, it was quite frankly the worst year of his career. It's one thing that he didn't win a tournament. He frankly didn't even come close, but there's some numbers along the way that would have sounded absurd a year ago. He lost the #1 ranking. That's not that big of a deal. It's happened before. His biggest paycheck of the year was $330,000. Now, you consider a year ago, his average paycheck on the PGA Tour was close to $620,000. At Firestone, he'd won 7 times, going for a record 8th victory. He finished 30 shots out of the lead. And there were a couple of tournaments this summer where he was finished playing before the leaders finished their lunch in the clubhouse. That's what kind of year Tiger went through. Off the course, wasn't much better, but these are things that really Tiger only knows what kind of year it was. It was an important year for him. It was a year that he had to go through. I asked him in Australia last week, did the year turn out the way you thought it would? And his answer was, no, not close. A, he didn't think he'd be divorced. B, he didn't think he'd be working with a new swing coach. And right toward the end, probably a week before Thanksgiving, you started to see signs of Tiger trying to rebuild the image. He went on Mike and Mike in the morning. He wrote an op-ed piece for Newsweek. There was a few other media opportunities his team was looking at. Again, trying to get him out in front of it, trying to respond, be a little more open. The biggest shock of all, Tiger is now on Twitter, actually doing his own tweets and trying to get involved that way. He's going to look back at 2010 and see no wins and see the fact that he finished 68th on the money list. There's at least a half a dozen LPGA players who made more money on the golf course than he did this year, which is beyond shocking. And realize what kind of year he went through. Realize the mistakes he made that put him in this position. Realize the fact that he lost his marriage, he lost his mystique, he lost millions of endorsements, he lost the #1 ranking, and move forward. Sports is sports, and I think it's mostly entertainment, and people are there still to watch Tiger. That doesn't mean everybody. There's going to be some that are going to be looking at him sideways for what he did, or perhaps even other reasons. But he'll get that back. People still go to watch the guy play golf. And as Ben Crane said, anytime you mention Tiger, there's always going to be a mystique about him. Some of that you have to look backwards. The fact that he's won 14 majors by the time he's 34, and that's going to carry him forward. But again, it's going to go back to whether he wins. And as soon as he starts winning, that's where we're going to know the full extent of how much he survived this.